Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 12th episode of the PC Build Up Challenge. The series where we flip gaming PCs all the way up until we've earned enough money to put an absolutely epic gaming PC on your desk. Now, a whole lot has taken place over the past few weeks, so let's start this episode off with a little recap. 3 weeks ago, when I started working on episode 10, we had $2,121 in our bank to build your gaming PC. But I spent $486 of those funds to build that beautiful black and orange gaming PC that had an unbelievable amount of attention behind it. Now, all of you voted on an average list price of $750. That's what you guys suggested I list that PC for. But unfortunately, even though this PC was extremely popular, we were only able to get $700 for that PC. Now, $214 is absolutely nothing to scoff at, and that put our new grand total to $2,335. Now, that's an unbelievable amount of money, seeing as how we started with $0 at the beginning of this season, but that was episode 10, and this is episode 12, so what happened to episode 11? Well, in episode 11, we threw together a quick flip, a Frankenstein build, if you would prefer to call it that. I pieced together a PC out of PC parts I had laying around from other flips, and we were able to build a gaming system for a very, very low cost. I don't know about you guys, but I consider a $173 PC to be a pretty cheap PC. Now, you guys suggested that I list that PC for $350, and I 100% agreed with you, and we went ahead and listed that PC for that price of $350. But there was one small problem. The person who came to get the PC was a very, very young man with his father buying his first gaming PC. So I apologize. I know that this is a challenge about earning money to build your gaming PC, but I have this super soft spot for young, brand new, up and coming PC enthusiasts. I want to make the gaming PCs more accessible for them so that, we still have people who play gaming PCs. So I did sell it for $300. I apologize, we're $50 short on it, but we still made a pretty decent amount of money on that system. $172 in profit to be exact, and that puts our new grand total to $2,462 in total earned money to build your gaming PC. How lucky am I to be able to do this for a living? But that is just not enough money, so that brings us to today. Now, this part right here is generally where I show off all the parts that we're going to be putting into today's build, or I show you the nasty old PC that we're going to be refurbishing, but I don't want to do that today. Today I want to do something just a little bit different. I think that I'm just going to go ahead and start putting the system together, and then once the system is completely put together, then you and I can go over all of the parts for that PC. We can go over the total build cost of what it took us out of our funds to build your PC to put that system together. We can test some gameplay so we can see how well the system performs, and then I am gonna need your help coming up with a total price on what we're going to sell that system for, because I can't do this all by myself. I need your help. So stick around. Let's go ahead and throw this thing together like now, and then I'll see you afterwards. job. I went through like 10 different color schemes trying to figure out what I like the most. And I landed on this, and I still don't even think that this is what I like. I think what's really throwing it off is the cable extension. You kind of have to go with red, like some form of red because of the black and red cable extension. Now, I didn't buy cable extensions for this build, so it was either throw that in because I had it in the closet, or just use the cables from the power supply, and I felt like that looked better than the power supply. So we ended up on this color scheme. Tell me what you think. Do you think this is a decent color scheme? I kind of think it looks like candy. My wife says it looks like candy, and I agree. Now, just because we put the build together does not mean we are finished. I still need to go over where we stand in total funds, and I need your help coming up with a price on how much we're gonna try and sell this system for so that we can make more money, so that I can build an extremely powerful system and put it on your desk. But let's go over some thoughts real fast. I don't know if you guys watch Steve from Gamers Nexus, but every year he does like a best case of 2024, 2023, that kind of thing. And for 2024, this was his best case. I mean, and I can 100% see why. Honestly, didn't really like this case too much, but after building in it, I can 100% understand why it's the best case of the year in his eyes, because the airflow in this thing is unbelievable. It's superior build quality. It's 100% one of the easiest cases that I've worked in. And the sideways power supply up front here is super cool. Very unique ideas to kind of leave this section down here open, unrestricted, so that the airflow from these two bottom fans can just be, super strong and blowing it right into your graphics card, keeping your graphics card nice and cool. Overall, the design of this case is really something great. So if a Lee & Lee 207 is something that you're kind of on the fence of, maybe you would want to pick this up for your build, I'd say go for it, because this thing, for $88, I mean, come on, this thing is great. So let's talk about the build a little bit here. So what we have here is an Intel i5 system. It's a 10600K CPU. It does have a Z490 MSI motherboard, and we get a 2080 Super. It also has 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory and a 280 millimeter EVGA AIO. Now, all the parts that I just listed here are actually the deal that is making up this PC. So I found somebody selling those exact parts, the graphics card, the motherboard, the CPU, and the AIO, and I was able to pick all that up for $400. Not the craziest deal I've ever gotten, but it is a pretty good deal for a large amount of the pieces that generally, jack up the price of most builds. So realistically, the only things that we needed for this build is a case, a power supply, and storage, because we had everything else. Now, the reason I went with the Lee & Lee 207 is because of the two 140 millimeter fans up front. Now, the AIO, it is a 280 millimeter AIO. And if you've watched any of my content, you guys understand how serious I am about symmetry and filling in space. If you can't put a 280 millimeter on top if there's spacing for a 360 millimeter, you know what I'm saying? Because if you do that, then there's gonna be a gap where there is nothing. You can't fit anything else there. So I was looking on Newegg and Amazon for a very long time trying to find the right case that would fit a 280 millimeter AIO and it wouldn't look crazy. Now I landed on the 207 because it has the pre-installed 140 millimeter front fans, so that I could put this 280 millimeter AIO directly up against them. And the fans that are on the back here are the fans that come with this AIO. I just use them in a pull configuration, even though those fans are not really designed for a pull configuration, but it's not limiting airflow because the amount of air coming through this thing is unreal. Now, the only other thing that I added in here were these fans. I wanted there to be a little bit more RGB, obviously, because we're selling the system and RGB helps sell computers. Now, I went with these because, I was just looking for a 6-pack of fans because I needed 6 fans to fill this case, and this is just something that I stumbled across. Now, I don't dislike the fans. They do come with a little remote, and I can control all the RGB from the remote, and they're moving a lot of air, so they're doing their job well, but they are cheaper fans. I think it was like $35 for a pack of 6 of these fans, and that's exactly what I was looking for. RGB for real cheap. Now, like I said earlier, the bulk majority of hardware inside of this system was $400. So the motherboard, the RAM, the CPU, the graphics card, and the AIO, $400, and I did pay $230 for the case, the power supply, the SSD, and the fans. Now that grand total comes out to $630 to build this system right here, which isn't the best deal I've ever come up with. You know, I've built more powerful systems for less. This is just the deals that I was able to find currently. But you do have to remember the black and orange PC that I referred to in the beginning of this video. That build was like a similar build, but it had a 2070 in it, and we were able to sell that system for $700. So I'd like to think that we could probably sell this system for $800. Maybe $800. But before we can even think about how much we're gonna list this thing for, let's take a look and see how powerful our gaming PC actually is. Now, starting off our testing with Forza 5 at an extreme preset and ray tracing set to high, we were able to capture an average of 89 FPS. Now, I gotta stand my ground in saying that Forza 5 is one of the best optimized games when it comes to any type of system. You can run that game on Intel i7 4790K CPUs and 1060 graphics cards and still get a great quality gameplay, but to boost up the ray tracing to high while still having an extreme preset and getting that type of FPS from this system, absolutely fantastic. Now, shifting over into a shooter, I wanted to see how well this system would perform in the game High on Life, and at a max preset, we're seeing an average FPS of 107. Now, I felt like playing a little bit of Marvel Legends on this computer, and I maxed everything out, as high settings as it could possibly go, and this is where I started to see this system struggle a little bit, and that's because Marvel Legends is gonna hit the CPU pretty hard, and seeing as how this is a i5 10600K, it did have a little bit more of a difficult time, but it still gave us a phenomenal FPS average of 64, and the picture was remarkable. The game looked stunning. Now, to finish us off with our gameplay testing, I wanted to give Black Myth Wukong a try because it's one of the most demanding titles that you can find, and this system actually held up pretty well, giving us an average FPS of 56 at its very high preset. Now, getting an average FPS of under 60 for Black Myth Wukong was not a surprise, especially seeing as how I set it to very high. That is very hard for most PCs to do. So we still get a great gameplay from this system, and honestly, for most of these systems I could have even gotten more frames, but I set the system to its highest preset. I wanted to max it out, push the system as hard as it could possibly go. So if you wanted more FPS from the system, all you had to do was lower the settings a little bit. You probably wouldn't even notice a difference, and you'd still get a phenomenal gameplay. Now, it is important to note that while the 2080 Super can handle 1440p, I did all my testing at 1080p, so we were still able to get phenomenal gameplay at 1080p. You could easily hook this up to a 1440p monitor and still get great gameplay. So let's do a little recap of all the information that you know now. First off, you know the hardware. Second off, you know the gameplay and how well this system performs. You know exactly how much money I spent to build this system, $630. Now, what you don't know is that dropped our total bankroll to build your computer to $1,832, which is still a phenomenal amount of money earned this season. But now what I need you guys to tell me, information that I need to know, is how much you think I should list this PC for so we can make some money on this system. I'm gonna need you to run down to the comment section and let me know what you think a fair list price for this system would be. I go ahead and take a look at all of your suggestions and I come up with an average, and that is how I list this PC. I list it for the price that you guys set. This is your challenge. You guys should help me dictate how much we sell the systems for. Now, we have over $1,800 in total earned funds to build your gaming PC, and $1,800 PC is still a very, very strong gaming PC, and we still have to sell this system right here, and we're getting closer and closer to building the final PC of this season of the Build Up Challenge, and I have some really great ideas on what I want that system to look like. I'm trying to make it something different, something unique, something that you guys are really, really gonna love. And I think that I've narrowed down what I want. But remember, if you wanna win that gaming PC, you do need to join the PC Rehab Discord server. I drop a link to join that server in every single episode of the Build Up Challenge. So you're gonna need to make sure that you join up. It's 100% free, and there are a ton of PC enthusiasts inside of that server that can help you out with any questions that you have on builds, on flips, on just ideas. And if you wanna goof around and send memes, it's all there. Also, if you really love the PC Build Up Challenge and you want to support us directly, you can always join the PC Rehab YouTube membership program. I have quite a few members and I appreciate every single one of you. But that is not a requirement. You can watch all of these videos for free. I just love that you guys are here hanging out with me and enjoying some sweet, sweet PC flips with me. Now make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like the video, and as always, remember that no matter where you are in the world, I hope that you are having the most fantastic day, and I'm gonna see you right here for the next episode.